they'd got to about 40, 50 something in the charts, and the record company had spent a lot of money, and we really were about to be dropped.
Wow.
I became a pop star probably by accident. And they've actually got a Stock Aitken and Waterman musical that's coming out this Christmas.
No way, really?
Virgin Radio 80s Plus.
Nathan, first of all, Nathan, well, welcome along to Virgin Radio and Virgin Radio 80s Plus. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really, really good, and happy to be chatting to you guys.
Now, look, first question, how comes you've aged so well? Look at you, you're a work of art. You haven't aged since 1988.
I don't know. I do keep myself quite fit, but I keep myself really busy.
Yeah, no, great.
You know, I'm singing The Harder I Try most weekends, which is incredible the way it works, because I think for 15 years after The Harder I Try was a hit, no one called me. No one called me. So when you get calls every weekend saying, oh, you know, could you come up to this festival and sing He Ain't No Competition and Harder I Try, you go, yes, I want to be there. So it keeps you young.
And what do you think of that song? Because I think it'd be great, if you don't mind. Can we start with The Harder I Try today? Because it's day number one. It is the song, well, I remember watching you on Top of the Pops. It's how I learnt of Brother Beyond. All these years later, what do you think of this song?
I always love singing it. I have no problem, singing it every weekend. I never get bored of it. I love hearing everyone sing the chorus with me. It's magic. I mean, what is it, 34 years ago now?
Yeah, it was the summer of 88, wasn't it? And it kind of...
Summer of 88, yeah. We were number 2. We should have been number 1. Phil Collins, Groovy Kind of Love, kept us off. It was bizarre, though, because in the midweek charts back then, every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we were number 1.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it on the Sunday when the countdown happened and he'd leapt over us.
Wow.
I never could work that one out, but it was a soundtrack to a movie, so I have a...
Yeah, of course, it would have been Buster, wouldn't it? The Buster soundtrack, wasn't it? If I'm right in
That's
thinking.
It, yeah, yeah.
Tell me then, how did you get to meet Stock Aitken and Waterman in the first place? How did that mashup work?
Well, Brother Beyond were working with Ian Kerner, one of the other producers, at their studios, at the Stock Aitken and Waterman, south of the river Empire.
Yeah.
And on a Friday, it was traditional for Mike, Matt and Pete to go into the pub and everyone working there have a Friday afternoon drink. So we'd actually met Pete in the pub. Mm-hmm. And so kind of, he was aware of us. And when this auction happened, this music business auction, and EMI, our record company, got the winning bid for their production services, they put £25,000 to charity. And when they'd had a conversation about who was going to get, who was going to receive their song and production, I don't think we were the first name in the mix, but I think Pete suggested to them, how about this band Brother Beyond? We've met them. We kind of like them. We think we could do something for them. And so it was just that stroke of luck, that moment that, made it happen.
And the brilliant thing, there was so much competition in 88 because you had Bros were doing the rounds. New Kids on the Block were just about to make it big, but they were kind of hovering around. You guys got to number 2. It's quite incredible, your success, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, going back to that moment again, we'd had 4 singles out previously. They'd got to about 40, 50 something in the charts, and the record company had spent a lot of money, and we really were about to be dropped.
Wow.
And so really, when Stock Aitken and Waterman wrote The Harder I Try, it saved the day for us. So we nearly never happened.
Wow.
Yeah, and there were so many bands around, Curiosity Killed the Cat, Ross, Wet, Wet, Wet. I mean, it was hard for us to get away. And so thanks to Mike, Matt and Pete, they did it for us.
Lovely stuff. That's great. I really wanted to ask you about that. Now, so back to your list then of the great songs that you sent me. Next on your list is one of the best summer songs you could ever request, really. What have you going for?
Oh, would you be talking about Don Henley, The Boys of Summer?
I think I may, yes. Tell me about this. I mean, what a classic.
It just I never tire of hearing this song when it comes on the radio, when I'm on a long drive to a summer festival. I just go, wow, it's just great song, great production, and it just takes you back to that moment. You can picture the video. Just a real classy record.
And you mentioned this before, but you said, you're back on the road now, and you said that the calls stopped, was it like for 15 years? But now you go out to different events and you're performing the Harder I Try every weekend. What's it like being back out there and performing to thousands of people every weekend?
Oh, it's great. I mean, this year I'm doing the Rewind Festival, Scotland, North and South. I'm doing all the Let's Rock 80s festivals, and it's just magic. I mean, as I said, for 15 years, no one called me. I mean, you think, what am I going to do? What do I do with my life?
Why was that? Why?
If you speak to artists, it happens to everybody. If you have a pop hit, once it's over, honestly, you have to find something else to do because no one wants you then. But it's like an old fossil. After about, 15, 20 years, they dig you up and you've got some sort of value then and they want you back.
It sounds so harsh.
It is. It's kind of like that, really. And now, when I sing The Harder I Try or He Ain't No Competition in front of those thousands of people and you hear them sing the choruses with you, it's just great. It's like, oh, I'm never retiring.
Yeah, and amazing. Well, what a great story. Hall & Oates next on your list. Which one have you gone for?
I can't go for that. I mean, I always loved Hall & Oates. Their soulful voices. It's just great pop records. In fact, they've got too many to really pick out one. But if I had to go for one, I can't go for that because it's just class.
And tell me about when you were growing up before Brother Beyond, when you were at school and stuff, when you were a young age, when this song came out. Did you always know that you were going to be a musician? Was that always the dream for you, Nathan?
No, never. I was always, if you went to school with me, you'd have said Nathan Moore's going to be something to do with sport. I did every sport: football, rugby, athletics, running, basketball. You'd have never have said, oh, he's going to be a singer. But my older sister Tida, she was in this band called the Palm Tree Club, and I would give her a lift to practice. When I was 17 and I got my license in my car, she was 19, and I'd give her a lift to practice, and she was just an awesome performer, and she kind of inspired me. And then one day the band said, why don't you get up with your sister and sing a song together, just have a go. And they said, hey, you two are pretty good together. Honestly, so again, I became a pop star probably by accident.
And what happened? Did she make it big?
No, I eventually kind of had left the Palm Tree Club. I was like, I really want to pursue this properly. And they were kind of not as serious as I was. And so I got kind of, some people found me, or some friends of Boy George had recommended me to a music publisher. They said, we'd seen this guy who fronts this band. The band are okay, but he's good. And, it's kind of that kind of thing. And so they still do gigs, but my sister's not with us anymore. But it was her that really inspired me. So I've a lot to thank my sister Tida for.
Amazing story. Now, Rufus and CHAKA Khan, this is one of those songs. I think I've played this on every radio station I've ever worked, and it sounds great, doesn't it? Why have you gone for this? How does it make you feel when you hear this?
It's just got a great groove. CHAKA Khan, what a voice. And I mean, if you have to pick your classics of yesteryear, that is up there. If you ask for my list another time, I'll give you a different list.
Yeah,
isn't it? It's like that. It's so
tough,
hard,
isn't it? It's a really tough one.
Forced to make a decision. Yes, Ain't Nobody, CHAKA Khan, Rufus, fantastic.
I must ask you this question. So when you're doing these festivals, do you throw in cover versions as well? Do you go, hey, I'm going to do this weekend as part of your set list? Are you ever inspired to cover other people's songs?
Always. I do a lot of other people's songs because if I do the more obscure Brother Beyond, I kind of lose the crowd a bit. So I do the most known, and then I'll do everything from Don't Leave Me This Way to Never Gonna Give You Up. I really have no problem singing the classics, as I want to I want to give that audience a great time. So, yeah.
Next on your list, you've put here, so you want to do a Trevor Horn moment here. I know this is a tough, isn't it? Tell me about the 2 tracks that you put here on the list.
Well, to pick out your classics from the 80s, Trevor Horn produced, so many of them.
Yeah.
Frankie, ABC, Seal, Yes. I mean, he made so many great records. So I thought, well, I kind of got to pick someone or an actor or song from his work.
Yes.
So I went for Frankie Goes to Hollywood, 2 Tribes.
With everything that's happened this year with the Eurovision, them getting back together for the first time in 20 years, do you remember those guys the first time round? Because they were quite impactful, weren't they, in the 80s?
Oh, yeah. So much. I mean, I bought the records. I loved Frankie. And, years later, I would end up doing shows with Holly Johnson. And yes, it was amazing to see all of them back on stage for the Eurovision at Liverpool together. They just made such great records and they still sound great. So, love that band.
And tell me about what you think of the production values on this, because you picked 2 Tribes. Why this over, say, Relax or The Power of Love?
It's hard to pick between Relax and 2 Tribes, but I tend to play two Tribes more. And I just think some of those 12-inch mixes and all the different things. And I ended up working with Steve Lipson, who worked on that record. And it was just, the guitars, the drums, the key, everything is just like, wow on that. So, yeah, that's the one I had to pick out of Frankie's, fantastic catalogue.
Just a quickie then, as we go into The Cure, just a question I wanted to ask you. Are you still in touch with Stock Aitken and Waterman? Did you see the documentary recently on Channel 5, marking all the artists that they work with and the career and stuff?
Yeah, I saw the documentary. I've done a couple of shows with Pete. We did one up in Blackpool about 4 years ago, and me and Pete sort of sat outside his dressing room and we chatted for about an hour. And he was telling my friends all these stories about how he got to make records with Kylie and Rick. And, he loves to tell a story. It's really nice. And they've actually got a Stock Aitken and Waterman musical that's coming out this Christmas.
No way, really?
Yeah. It's appearing at theatres in Manchester, Leeds. I don't know whether The Harder I Try has made it into the song list, but I do know that the lead character is called Nathan.
Wow, okay. Take that and own it.
Yeah.
And listen, this is your final track. Tell me why you've picked this song by The Cure, Forrest. Why this one?
As I said earlier, I had really kind of different taste to what people might think I would have, being a pop star, a pop singer. And like I said, I like those bands like Bauhaus, The Birthday Party, Killing Joke, Susan the Banshees, The Psychedelic Furs. And I thought, what one song can I pick out of that kind of group of artists? And The Cure, and this song, it was so atmospheric. And I used to play it in my car all the time. When you're going to on a long drive in the dead of night, it sounds so good, this song.
And just before we play this, I'll get into a lot of trouble if I don't ask you this one final question. Where can we see you then over this summer? Where are you going to be? Name a few places and festivals.
Okay.
And what have you.
If you look at all the Let's Rock 80s festivals, I am singing on all of them.
Great.
Everything from Let's Rock in Cookham, that's coming pretty soon, to Leeds, to North East, to Scotland. And now I'm also on Rewind Scotland, Rewind North, and Rewind South. Those are the main things. And I do the Butlins 80s Weekenders as well, so I've got about 5 of those coming up too. So plenty of places.
Lovely. Lots of choices there. Well, listen, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. You look so well. And the main thing is, you look like you're having a great time and you seem so happy. And it's really great to meet people and you think, wow, okay, really nice, decent person. And thank you so much, Nathan. And your songs have been amazing as well.
Steve, it's great to chat with you. Yes, I do feel blessed and lucky. I'm happy and healthy. Still singing away, so life is good, and I'm grateful.
Great stuff. Nathan Moore, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Let's chat anytime you want. So
yeah. Lovely. Well,
hopefully again, and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, it'd be great to have you in the studio at some point. But thank you. Please thank Donna as well. Thank you.
She's very technical. She does all this stuff all the
great.
time. I'd be useless. Honestly, I am useless.